you're having such a bad year. But more or less, I wanted to talk about once again the Kansas City Chiefs getting bailed out by the referees at the end of the game. So this was so for anybody who doesn't know, it was an aborted snap at the end. The Chiefs recovered with about 30 seconds left, and the Raiders were about to be in field goal range to not only not tie the game but win the game against the Chiefs here. Who knows if they hit the field goal or not, but Carlson's a very good kicker, so I would bet money that they would have. However, all hypothetical. The point that I want to make is they threw the flag for a false start on that play on the offense. And the referee on the far side of the sideline is literally running onto the field with his hands waved up to call off the play dead. And they continue with the whistles in the background. And they continue to put the play in. And after like 3 minutes of referees getting together and having discussions about what's going on, they call it a legal shift and they say the play was live and Kansas City ball. This bullshit. It should have been a false start. The referee is clearly coming onto the field to stop the play before it even happens. 5-yard penalty, redo the play. I just don't understand what devil magic the Kansas City Chiefs have done to have basically a 12th man onto the field with them at all times in the referees. Right? I don't like the discussion that the referees carry the Chiefs because they don't. The Chiefs are a very good team. You have great players. You have a great coach. However, when it's this blatant, it pisses me off. And it should piss a lot of NFL fans off because it's clearly a false start. You call the play dead. You have the 5 yards. O'Connell goes out there, maybe throws for another 5 to 10, and you kick a 50-yard field goal, and you see what happens. You don't want any game for that matter, but we see it too much and too often with Kansas City games. You don't want the decision of a game to become with a flag or a non-flag for this matter.
And also, like, this is one thing to say for like you is that like these past like 2 weeks, the Chiefs have played two bad teams
Hmm.
on paper, bad teams,
Yeah.
and they I believe it was a 2 point game. Was it this Black Friday game a 2 point game?
19 to 17.
Yeah,
Yep.
this it was a 2 point game, and then the game against Panthers was a 3 point game.
Yep.
It's just like this actually puts into a question for you, even though the Chiefs' track record of them playing so good in the playoffs. Do you think there's any like part of this like they're not playing good this season that's gonna affect them in the playoffs?
It's tough. It's tough to say, right? Because they do have the track record. They are back-to-back Super Bowl champions. And if I'm being honest with you, we've both watched the games the last 2 weeks. It's almost like I don't want to take away anything from Carolina or the Raiders because they played good games against a very tough team, right? But it's almost like Kansas City doesn't try unless they have to. Which is great, which is scary because you don't get an accurate representation of what type of team they are. And then come playoff time, if we see a completely different team come out in that first week of the playoffs, you start to think, holy shit, they just kind of held out all year. They just kind of skated by. I don't know if that's the case or look, maybe they have reached their plateau. I don't know. That's a great question, Derek. I really don't know. I would err on the side of caution and say come playoff time, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be the Kansas City Chiefs.
This is like because this is like thing to affect your point is like if they hypothetically don't try against the good bad teams, hypothetically, I don't know that if they do or they do, obviously, but when they play a good team like the Bills, they didn't play good and they lost. I would say they got not railroaded, but
Look, to be fair, on the flip side, that is their only loss of the year.
exactly it's to a good team. That's the
It-
problem though.
no, but they've played good teams this year. Beat the Ravens, beat the Bengals,
They beat
beat
the
the Buccaneers.
Ravens. They beat the Ravens also by a a quarter, literally a quarter.
Fine. A win's a win.
Yeah,
You beat the Buccaneers, who people say are playoff bound. You beat the 49ers, who before this year we thought had all the aspirations in the world of being a Super Bowl team. So I get the narrative. that, against the Bills, ooh, blah, 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 you lost. However, I think Patrick Mahomes is like 1-5 against the Bills in the regular season. And then come playoff time, he spanks them.
Yeah,
So once again, you take that for a grain of salt. I can't look, if I'm a betting man, it's so hard, no matter how bad they look, to bet against them come playoff time.
yeah. It's obviously you're 100% right. If you bet, like it's hard not to bet against them because of how good they are. But then like there's these signs in like the regular season to like you don't know what the fuck if this is the real them or if they're just like showing a fake image or is this like
Are they just skating by to get to the playoffs? I don't know. I truly don't know because yes, they're playing these bad teams, but they're still winning. It's like they're just doing enough to win, and they're not caring. It's a very weird look to things. And yes, obviously a little bit of ref help specifically this last game, but once again, I
that was
don't want
ridiculous? That call,
it
I'm
is
sorry.
it is ridiculous, but I don't want to put wins and losses on refs, and I don't like the narrative that the refs are the Kansas City Chiefs because it takes away from the game. The Kansas City Chiefs are a really good team, but it's going to be a tough conversation to have come playoff time when you're wondering is this team for real or not, and they have a first round bye potentially. So I really don't know how it's going to go down.
It's also going to be because I don't know the Chiefs' schedule for the remainder of the year, but
I
it
do.
all right. Say because this actually affects what I'm going to say. I need you to.
So the next 2 weeks they have Chargers and Browns. But the last 3 weeks, they end against some pretty good teams: Texans, Steelers, and Broncos.
Okay. What I'm saying is that they have to tread carefully for like the start of for like the remaining last couple games. That if they play not so well against the bad teams, they have the Bills right behind them, who have I believe they have a pretty light schedule towards the end of the year, to where if you lose one game, the Bills win, they get the bye. So I understand that they're obviously all these games are close, but you have to tread carefully because one wrong play can fuck you guys up, and you guys don't get home field advantage, and then you have to travel all the way to Buffalo for potentially an AFC Championship game.
I agree.
Hopefully, me like this is like outside. Obviously, I don't think many people in the NFL like the Chiefs. I do hope the Bills take the AFC.
I don't think a lot of people in the NFL like the Chiefs because they're tired of them winning. That's
Yeah,
what, but that's what happens with
exactly.
dynasties. Yeah.
Like no one liked Belichick and Brady. No one liked them. It's just when a dynasty's created, you obviously want it to be over to see a new champion or like a new that. People want everything to be new, including me.
Hmm.
But I do
Well, no, you're an Eagle fan.